You know, for decades, we were all told the same thing. A college degree was your golden ticket, the one thing you needed for a successful career. But that ticket, it's losing its shine, and it's happening fast. The job market is starting to feel, well, broken. And the real reason why it's breaking might not be what you think.
Okay, let's just stop and think about that for a second. This is a truly wild statistic. I mean, Harvard MBAs. These are supposed to be the most credentialed, most sought-after graduates on the planet. And yet, here we are. They're struggling to find work in a job market they were basically trained to dominate.
So, what gives? What is really going on here? Is it just the economy? Is it AI coming for all the jobs? Or is it something deeper? A fundamental crack in the very foundation that connects our education to our employment. Let's get into it.
Now take a look at this chart, because this shows just how quickly the floor is dropping out. Just a couple of years ago, in 2022, about 10% of Harvard Business School grads were still looking for work a few months after graduation. Fast forward to 2024, and that number has more than doubled. Doubled! This isn't some slow-moving trend, it's a shockwave.
To really understand why this is happening, we need to talk about this powerful force that's been quietly twisting the job market out of shape for decades.
The heart of the problem is something called credential inflation. It works just like regular inflation, but instead of your money being worth less, it's your diploma. The more people who have a degree, the less special each one becomes. So what happens? Employers start demanding degrees for jobs that never ever needed one before. And boom, suddenly we're all caught in this frantic paper chase.
And this slide, it's the perfect real-world example. The actual job of being a physical therapist hasn't fundamentally changed all that much. But the price of admission sure has. A bachelor's used to be fine. Then it became a master's. Now you need a doctorate. We're all running faster and faster just to stay in the exact same place.
And this whole system of credential inflation has created this enormous, and I mean enormous, segment of the American workforce that we often just ignore. We're talking about over 70 million people.
They're called STARs, skilled through alternative routes. Think about that, 70+ million American workers who have incredibly valuable skills but don't have that one specific piece of paper, a 4-year degree. This is a massive, diverse, and seriously capable talent pool, but they keep slamming into the same wall over and over again. And that wall has a name, the paper ceiling. And this graph really shows you just how brutally high that ceiling is. It takes a STAR, a worker without a degree, 30 years of on-the-job experience just to earn what a fresh college grad makes on day one. Just let that sink in for a second. We're basically saying that 4 years in a classroom is worth 3 decades of real-world work.
But this paper ceiling, it's not just a statistic on a chart. It has real human consequences. Take the story of Lashana Lewis. She was a substitute teacher for a computer class, did a great job. When the full-time teacher left, she was the natural fit. But she didn't have a degree. And the school's answer to her? It just perfectly sums up how absurd this whole system is. We know you can do it. It's such a shame.
Okay, so when you see how unfair and just plain inefficient this all is, it's no wonder there's a growing movement to find a better way, a new way of thinking about hiring. The solution that's being proposed is a huge shift in thinking, moving from credential first to competency first. The idea is actually pretty simple, but the implications are revolutionary. What if we hired people based on what they can actually do, not on the piece of paper they happen to have? In this world, skills, not degrees, become the real currency.
And here's the thing. This isn't just a feel-good idea. It is actually great for business. Research from Harvard Business School found that when companies hire stars for roles that used to demand a degree, it's a win-win. The workers get, on average, a 25% pay bump, and the companies, they see a 10% jump in employee retention. Everybody's better off. And this slide shows you exactly how this works in practice. So, take a retail salesperson. They're constantly developing critical skills, right? Persuasion, listening, customer service. Well, it turns out those are the exact same skills you need for a much higher-paying job as a wholesale sales rep. Skills-based hiring literally builds a bridge between those two jobs, a bridge that a degree requirement would have completely blocked.
And this is not some fringe movement, not anymore. As you can see here, some of the biggest names in the world, we're talking Google, IBM, Delta, they're all jumping on board. They are publicly stripping degree requirements from thousands of jobs. It really feels like the skills-based future is finally here. But Is it? You know, public announcements are one thing. Press releases are easy. But actually changing the DNA of how a massive organization hires people, that is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, that road from making a promise to making a real change is often a lot longer and a lot harder than we think. And the skills-based hiring movement is definitely no exception.
So here it is, the reality check. For all the headlines, for all the fanfare, a recent Harvard study found that the promise of skills-based hiring led to a new opportunity in, get this, fewer than 1 out of every 700 hires last year. The actual impact on the ground? It's been tiny.
So what the study found is that when companies announce they're dropping degree requirements, they tend to fall into one of 3 camps. First, you have the leaders. These are the ones actually making a real change. Then you get the in-name-onlys. They talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And finally, the backsliders, who try to change but then quickly snap back to their old habits.
And here's the breakdown. As you can see, only about 37% of companies are true leaders. The vast majority, a whopping 63%, are either just paying lip service or they've already given up. And that right there is why the real-world impact has been so small. Most companies just haven't been able to turn their promises into practice. Okay, so if the system is stuck in this weird limbo between the old rules and the new ones, what on earth does that mean for you? How are you supposed to navigate a job market that's changing under your feet?
All right, so what's the big takeaway for you in all this? Well, it's that company policies might be changing on paper, but old habits die really, really hard. For a busy hiring manager who's got a stack of 200 resumes to get through, a degree is still a super easy shortcut. It's a familiar signal for this person is probably qualified, even if the company's official policy says they don't need it.
So to win in this new landscape, you have to give that hiring manager a signal that is even stronger and clearer than a degree. And that means focusing on the high-demand skills that companies are desperate for right now. Think AI, think data analytics. It means building a portfolio of actual projects that proves you can do the work, not just a folder full of certificates. And maybe most of all, it means showing you can learn and adapt to whatever comes next.
So we are in a messy, messy transition. The degree is no longer the automatic golden ticket it once was, but this new skills-based world isn't quite here yet either. And that leaves us with a really critical question to ask ourselves. In this new world, is your most important credential no longer what a university says you learned, but what your body of work proves you can actually do?